It was a revolution drenched in blood. Hundreds of people killed throughout Romania as the communist regime tottered and fell. Among the dead, the country's president, Nicolae Ceausescu, and his wife, executed Christmas Day, 1989. What was an unmarked grave now has a headstone, and 10 years on, much else has changed. But while attempting to secure a democratic future, Romania is still a country dealing with its past. I'm Mike Hanna. Welcome to this special edition of Insight. The Iron Curtain was drawn aside peacefully in many parts of Europe, but here it was yanked down and violently torn. For confronted here was not only a communist regime, it was a truly totalitarian system, ruthlessly controlled by an all-powerful dictator. In the streets of Bucharest, monuments to those who were killed in the fight for freedom. Buildings pockmarked by bullet holes left unrepaired as daily reminders of the revolution. Today, though, the walls still ring with the sounds of discontent. The battle against communism has long been won. But ongoing labor unrest is evidence that in the eyes of many, the promise of democracy is still to be realized.
This country needs real reforms. This country needs real changes in the economy. This country needs real market economy rules, mechanisms. It's the only way to solve the problem of unemployment.
Unemployment and inflation, unknown or unacknowledged during the communist years, have soared in the past decade. The average income has dwindled and is now a meager $80 a month. In a recent poll of Romanian adults, 61% said they were better off under Ceausescu. Less than 1/5 of those polled support the coalition government currently in power. The Romanian leadership understands how hard times are. There are no longer any illusions. But the president says people are quick to forget how bad things used to be.
People don't appreciate today what they have and didn't used to have in the old regime. They compare themselves rather with things that other people have, and with that I mean people in Western countries and in the US.
It is easier in every field of the activity to demolish. Much more complicated is to build something new.
Ion Iliescu was Romania's first democratic president. His attempts to build something new were dismissed by many as reforming a communist system rather than replacing it. Voted out of power in 1996, he remains a political force and is adamant that under threat now is the very idea of democracy itself.
And the idea of the reform, of the reconstruction, and of the transition is compromised in the eyes of the people, and even, maybe for some of them, of the democracy.
What the politicians describe as a new market economy has furnished little benefit for the small business people who are simply attempting to make ends meet. In their book, the free market is perceived as a system that encourages corruption, one in which only some politicians and their friends appear to flourish.
Nobody can make clean money using rules of market economy, using his intelligence, his capacity to develop a business, his capacity to find a market and to sell his products. The politicians and the governments during all that 10 years compromised the concepts of market economy.
Reforma unei societăți în post-tranziția comunistă
The reform of a society in post-communist transition
este extrem de dureroasă.
It's extremely painful.
Și pentru a te ridica trebuie mai întâi să cobori.
And in order to raise, you first have to go down.
Din păcate, acest lucru nu s-a
And
explicat.
unfortunately, this thing has not been explained honestly.
In the process of privatization, many factories deemed uneconomic or environmentally unacceptable have been closed down. In the town of Kopșomica, a carbon processing plant that had become internationally notorious for its environmental destruction stands silent. Houses that have been cleaned in recent years, emphasizing how bad the pollution was. And yet among those who lost their jobs here, feelings are mixed. It's better now that we don't have the dark smoke and soot, says Amma. But before there was money and everyone had work. People would go away to cure themselves and when they came back would get sick again, says Jan. But now we have no place of work. They made me retire and I have no money, so I cannot cure myself. It's in the areas away from the capital, Bucharest, where the economic downturn has been most sharply felt. Like the once prosperous city of Timișoara, a matter of miles from the Hungarian and Serbian borders, which even in communist times prided itself in a more Western outlook. This was the first city in Europe to have electric street lighting in 1884. And on the night of December the 15th, 1989, it became the first Romanian city to rise up in revolt.
Generally, we are in the front and we are the first, and everybody is looking to Timișoara, what have they to do, what can they do. And so we must be an example for everybody, and it's not easy to do like that.
And here, though, there is a belief that the current centrist government is on the right track, that since coming to power in 1996, it succeeded in rectifying the many economic mistakes made by the administration voted in right after the revolution.
I think after this reform politics of the government, and maybe if we are able to make a new structure of the Romanian economy, the things will change, and I hope these changes will be as soon as possible, maybe in 1 or 2 years.
But here too, some are adamant that it's not only problems in the economy that make the hopeful flame of the revolution burn less bright. The fact that many who fought for Ceausescu still hold positions of power is regarded as a betrayal of those who gave their lives for freedom.
This is a victim room. The victims against the criminals.
In Timișoara's Museum of the Revolution, the faces of those who died on one wall. On the other, the names of the army and police officers who ordered their men to open fire.
The people demonstrate. You can see the faces of officers. They are very important photos. Now they have power in our army, defense army. This museum is a protest against the criminals.
It bothers many other Romanians as well, and yet the question of addressing the past remains unresolved. The coalition government at present divided on whether or not to grant amnesty to those who claim they were merely following orders.
Acuz trecutul.
But I don't want to lay all the blame on the past.
Nu câștigăm nimic.
There is nothing to win out of that.
În general, orientarea noastră este să gestionăm corect prezentul.
What we are oriented to is to manage correctly the present
organizăm un viitor pe termen lung.
and to organize a long-term future.
And the yearning for a more prosperous future is something shared by all. Transcending the political division and economic turmoil is a sense of pride. The knowledge of a common harmony forged in a revolution that Romanians fought and won alone.
Nevertheless, that cost us the lives of more than 1,000 people.
Nenumărați au rămas infirmi.
Many people have remained crippled, physically crippled, and some of them even crippled in their souls.
Dar rămânem cu această mândrie
But we still have this pride
a unui popor care s-a eliberat el singur.
of a people who freed himself.
We do not have other chance but to remain optimistic. Otherwise, what to do?
Dobândit libertatea.
But there's always an open problem after you have won your freedom.
Cum o folosește?
How do you use this freedom?
La 10 ani de la Revoluție, cred că am folosit-o bine.
At 10 years since the revolution, I believe we have used it well.
Dominating the center of Bucharest, the second largest building in the world, The House of the People was built by Nicolae Ceausescu 25 years ago. 12 churches, 3 monasteries and 2 synagogues were destroyed in its construction. Yet soon after the dictator's burial, his initially unmarked grave was graced by a tombstone bearing a cross. And each day there's always someone who'll lay fresh flowers or light another candle. The Romanian president says he'd rather deal with the present than dwell on the past. However, one of the country's greatest social problems has its roots planted firmly in a former era. In a moment, we